Hi, I'm Winter. Not the season, but close enough that I've heard every joke about it since kindergarten. 23 years of, is it cold in here or is it just winter? Never gets old. What matters is what happened last Tuesday at what was supposed to be a regular family dinner. I sat at the mahogany table, watching my mother arrange the silverware with painful precision. Mom, do you need help? I asked. No, you just sit there. She swatted my hand away. Your father wants everything perfect tonight. Perfect for what? It's just dinner, I said, drumming my fingers. Mom's lips thinned. You'll find out soon enough. My brother Marcus sauntered in, headphones dangling around his neck. Hey, Win. Ready for the big announcement? What announcement? Does everyone know something I don't? Dad just said it was important. He shrugged. Marcus, my mother hissed. That's enough. The front door opened and Dad's footsteps echoed through the hallway. He wasn't alone. Winter, darling, Aunt Patricia's voice carried. Where's my favorite niece? In the dining room, I called back. Why is Aunt Patricia here for dinner? Marcus leaned in, whispering. She's Dad's lawyer. Why would we need a lawyer for dinner? I whispered back. Dad and Aunt Patricia entered. Despite being siblings, they couldn't look more different. Dad with his frown, Patricia with her flowing scarves. Winter, sweetie, Patricia swooped in for a hug. You look positively peaky. I'm fine, Aunt Pat, just confused about what's happening. All in good time, Dad said. Let's eat first. Dinner was excruciating. Mom barely spoke. Patricia filled silences with chatter, and Dad kept checking his watch. So, Patricia, I said, breaking an uncomfortable silence. How's the real estate business these days? Oh, booming, she trilled. Properties are moving faster than ever. Your father and I were just discussing market values in this neighborhood. Were you now? I glanced at Dad. Planning on moving? Dad's fork paused midway to his mouth. Don't get ahead of the conversation, Winter. I'm just trying to understand why we're having a family dinner with your lawyer, I pressed. For heaven's sake, Mom muttered. Can we just have a peaceful meal? We could, I replied, if everyone wasn't being so mysterious. It's not mystery, it's timing, Dad said firmly. Now eat your dinner. Finally, Dad cleared his throat. Now there's something important we need to discuss. Actually, my mother interrupted, standing. I should clear these plates. Leave them, Helen, Dad said sharply. This can't wait. Winter, Dad began. Your mother and I have made a decision. The house on Maple Street, your grandmother's house, is being sold. Okay, makes sense to sell it. That's not all. We're also selling this house. What? Why? Are we moving somewhere else? Not we, Winter. Your mother and I are moving to Arizona. We've purchased a condo. What about me? My voice rose slightly. Dad's face hardened. Winter, you're 23. Most people your age don't still live with their parents. I'm saving for graduate school. We talked about this. Plans change, Dad cut me off. It's time for you to stand on your own. Patricia leaned forward. That's why I'm here, dear. I've drafted a formal notice. You have 30 days to find alternative accommodation. A formal notice? I'm your daughter, not a tenant. Actually, Patricia slid a document toward me. You are legally a tenant, and this is an eviction notice. You're evicting me? At dinner? My voice cracked. You couldn't have warned me? We're telling you now, Dad said flatly. 30 days is standard. Standard for strangers, Dad, not family. I turned to my mother. Mom, you can't be okay with this. She wouldn't meet my eyes. It's for the best, Winter. How is kicking your daughter out for the best? I demanded. What happened to stay with us as long as you need while you save? Was that all lies? Don't be dramatic, Dad sighed. Circumstances change. Priorities shift. My priority was trusting my family, I shot back. Guess I need to shift that too. Did you know about this? I asked Marcus. He nodded slowly. They told me last week. And you didn't think to warn me? They asked me not to, he mumbled. I'm sorry, Win. Sorry doesn't help me find a place to live in 30 days, I said, my voice breaking. Did everyone get a memo except me? I stood up. So that's it? I no longer have a home? Just like that? Don't be dramatic, Dad sighed. You have a job. Figure it out like the rest of us did. Well, I said, my voice unnaturally calm. Thank you for making it crystal clear exactly where I stand in this family. I walked out, Marcus calling my name as I slammed the door. The next morning, I sat with my best friend Ellie in a coffee shop. They can't just throw you out like that, Ellie insisted. There have to be laws against this. Apparently not when your aunt's a real estate attorney, I said bitterly. What are you going to do? I don't know. Look for an apartment I can't afford because all my savings are for grad school. You could stay with me, Ellie offered. My couch is yours. Thanks, but I need a long-term solution. There's something weird about all this. Why the secrecy? My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. We need to talk. Meet me at Riverside Park at 2? At the park, Marcus was waiting. Why am I here, Marcus? I crossed my arms. I know more than I said last night. He glanced around nervously. Can we sit? Talk, I said. Mom and Dad aren't just selling the house because they want to move. They're in serious debt. Dad made some bad investments. They need to liquidate assets fast. Why not just tell me that? Marcus hesitated. Because there's more. The money for your grad school? It's gone. They used it to cover their losses. I felt like I'd been punched. What? They promised that money was untouchable. I know. That's why they couldn't tell you the truth. How long have you known about this, Marcus? I demanded. About the debt, a few months, about your trust fund. He winced. Since they took it. And you didn't say anything? You just let me keep planning for grad school, knowing the money was gone? I told them they needed to tell you, he protested. I argued with Dad about it. He kept saying he'd fix it, that he had investments that would pay off. But they didn't pay off, did they? I asked coldly. No, they got worse. That's why they're selling both houses now. And what about your trust fund? Did they touch that too? His silence was answer enough. They didn't, did they? Just mine. Mine was set up differently, he mumbled. Legally, they couldn't access it. So let me get this straight, I said, my voice rising. They stole my future, but yours is perfectly safe? And you knew this whole time? It wasn't like that, Wynn, Marcus pleaded. I tried to protect you. By saying nothing? That's not protection, that's complicity. There's one more thing. Marcus lowered his voice. I think Dad's been hiding assets. Patricia mentioned offshore accounts. Tax evasion. I raised my eyebrows. That's a federal crime. And I think Gran's house might be worth more than they're letting on. There was something about mineral rights and a developer. Do you know which developer? Centennial Partners, I think. I'm going to figure out exactly what's going on, I said firmly. 3 days later, I sat with Ellie's father, Tom Bennett, in his office. So your parents claimed the Maple Street property was worth about $300,000, but Centennial Partners offered them nearly $1 million? Tom asked. That's what Marcus overheard. And they're not disclosing this to the divorce court. Divorce court? Tom's eyebrows shot up. Another thing they didn't tell me, I said grimly. This is potentially illegal if they're hiding assets during a divorce proceeding. So what can I do? As your grandmother's heir, you might have grounds to contest the sale. I'm her heir. This was news to me. According to these records, your grandmother's will left the Maple Street house to you specifically, to be held in trust until you turned 25 or completed graduate school. They never told me that, I whispered, anger building. Winter, I think you need to talk to a lawyer. A good one. 2 weeks later, armed with documentation and legal advice from Tom's sister-in-law, Vivian Chen, I stood outside my parents' house. Mom answered, surprise on her face. Winter? We weren't expecting you. Is Dad home? We need to talk. He's in his study. I brushed past her and headed for Dad's study. He looked up, annoyed. Winter, what are you doing here? We need to talk about Gran's will. What about it? About how she left the Maple Street house to me, not you. About how you've been lying to me for years. Dad's face hardened. Who told you that nonsense? County records, I replied, placing copies on his desk. You misunderstand. The house was left to you, yes, but I was named trustee. I make the decisions until I turn 25 or finish graduate school. I finished. I know. I've read the will. The will you never showed me. It wasn't relevant until now. Wasn't relevant? My voice rose. You're selling my house without my consent and pocketing the money? You don't understand the complexities of financial management, Dad said dismissively. Sometimes difficult decisions must be made. Difficult for whom? I challenged. It wasn't difficult for you to take my money. It wasn't difficult for you to lie to my face. It wasn't difficult for you to betray your own daughter. Watch your tone, Dad warned. Or what? You'll evict me? Too late, I shot back. Mom opened the door. What's going on? Your husband has been stealing from me, I said bluntly. The house on Maple Street is legally mine. Richard? Mom turned to Dad. Helen, this doesn't concern you, Dad said sharply. Actually, it concerns all of us, I countered, especially since you're hiding assets during your divorce. That's fraud, Dad, and tax evasion if those offshore accounts are real. Dad's face went pale. Marcus told you? He's the only one who had the decency to tell me the truth. The truth? Dad stood up. The truth is that you're an ungrateful child who doesn't understand how the real world works. It's not your money to use, I shouted back. It's mine. Gran wanted me to have it for my education. Richard, is this true? Mom asked quietly. Did Martha leave the house to Winter? I knew we were in financial trouble, but Richard said he had it under control. He lied, I said flatly. And I have proof. Dad slammed his fist on the desk. You have nothing! Who's going to believe you over me? A kid with documentation and a really good lawyer, I replied. Oh, and the IRS tends to believe evidence, not reputation. You're threatening me? Dad's voice dropped dangerously low. No, Dad. I'm promising you consequences for your actions. Get out of my house, he snarled. Gladly. But you have 24 hours to call off the sale of the Maple Street house and provide a full accounting of my trust fund, or my lawyer files motions. As I reached for the doorknob, Dad lunged forward, grabbing my arm. You listen to me. Richard, Mom cried out. Let her go. You're hurting me, I said calmly. And there are witnesses. Marcus stood in the doorway. Dad, what are you doing? Dad released me immediately, but the damage was done. Assault, I noted. Not a great look when you're already facing fraud charges. Winter, please, Mom pleaded. We can work this out as a family. We're not a family anymore, I replied. You made that clear at dinner 2 weeks ago. 6 months later, I sat in Vivian's office, reviewing the settlement documents. So it's really over? I asked. Your father has agreed to all terms to avoid criminal charges. The Maple Street property is officially in your name, and the trust fund has been reconstituted with interest. What about the tax issues? The IRS investigation is ongoing, but that's between your father and the government now. I nodded, relief washing over me. And my parents? The divorce was finalized last week. Your mother's asked me to give you her new contact information. I stared at the slip of paper Vivian held out, but didn't take it. Maybe someday. Not yet. Take your time, Vivian said gently. Healing doesn't run on legal timelines. Do you think I did the right thing? I asked suddenly. Taking it this far? You stood up for yourself when no one else would, she replied. That's always the right thing. The question is, what will you do now? As I left, my phone rang. It was Marcus. Hey, Win, did you sign everything? Just finished, I confirmed. It's done. How do you feel? He asked. Relieved, sad, angry still. Mostly just determined to move forward. Dad asked about you again. He wants to talk. I'm not ready for that, I replied firmly. He says he's sorry, that he made terrible mistakes. Sorry doesn't undo what he did, I said. He betrayed my trust. He stole from me. What about Mom? She's been calling me every day asking about you. I hesitated. Did she know? About the trust fund? About Gran's will? I don't think so, Marcus said quietly. Not until that day you confronted Dad. I'll think about it, I promised. But I can't make any promises. Later, Ellie helped me carry boxes into Gran's house. My house now. It's weird being back here, I admitted. I keep expecting Gran to walk in offering cookies and advice. She kind of did, Ellie pointed out. She made sure you'd have this place when you needed it. She always said a true home is one that waits for you, I said, unpacking a photo of Gran. I never really understood what she meant until now. My phone buzzed. From Dad. Can we talk? Are you going to answer? Ellie asked. Not today, I decided. Maybe not ever. Do you think you'll forgive them eventually? Forgiveness isn't the point, I replied. Understanding is. I understand now that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about the people who actually have your back. As evening fell, we sat on the porch swing that Gran had loved. Most people would have been broken by what happened to you, Ellie said. I bent, I admitted. But I didn't break, and now I'm stronger. What would you tell someone going through something similar? Ellie asked. I'd tell them that sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones you need protection from, I said. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you have an opportunity to build something better on your own terms. That's pretty wise, Winter with a Y. Ellie bumped my shoulder. What about you? I asked her. Through all this mess, you've been my rock. I don't think I ever properly thanked you. That's what friends do, she said simply. We show up when family doesn't. Is that what we are? Friends? I asked, looking at her. We're whatever we need to be, she replied, taking my hand. Family, friends, something in between. Labels don't matter when you're there for each other. I learn from the best, I smiled, thinking of Gran. Think my story will make a good graduate thesis someday? I'd read it, Ellie laughed. Though maybe wait until the IRS investigation is complete for the epilogue. Have you ever had to fight for what was rightfully yours? What would you have done in my shoes?